Live from New York, this is the Harvey Hour. My name is Nathan Harvey, and as always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. How you doing today on a beautiful Friday? It's getting colder out now, which I like.
It is. It's getting chilly. I like that. It's
You
a
know.
beautiful day today, but it's going to rain all day tomorrow, I understand.
Well, you know what? I'll take that. I'll take
You're
that.
okay with that?
Even though I hate the I hate rainy weather. You know, if it's gonna be cold, you know, you can put on some heat. You could wear some sweatshirts, whatever the case may be. Get cozy, enjoy the weekend. I would say that's why. But no, I am. It's crazy. I'm more a fan of cold weather and winter weather than I am summer weather.
Me too.
I don't know, just the
humidity in the summer now and the hot weather is too much for me.
I would say that the feeling of like heat instead of a fan, you know, sweat versus you're a little too cold. You add layers. You know what? Your sweating is not good. I think the feeling of warmth is better than, you know, a breeze hitting it. But that just could be me. But we do have a pretty big show planned for today. So let's jump in with last night's game. Let's jump right into it. So the Chiefs defeated the Denver Broncos 19-8 on Thursday Night Football. Patrick Mahomes over 300 yards passing, while Russell Wilson under 100 yards passing. And for a while, you know, a decent way into the fourth quarter, we were seeing like 50-something yards from Russell Wilson. Not too good from, you know, he's actually having a pretty good year. This was a down game for him. But yeah, this maybe was his worst game. So I want to know, what was your reaction to Kansas City's win over Denver?
I mean, the Chiefs barely covered the point spread. I thought they'd probably blow them out. They think they should be thankful for their defense, which stopped the Broncos in their tracks for the most part. Well, the offense moved the ball up and down the field, but kept making mistakes with interceptions. And, you know, they tried for a fake field goal there. They took 3 points off the board. They easily could have made that. They were right down there. And I just think their offense is, aside from Mahomes to Kelsey, it's sputtering. It's not really hitting on all cylinders. It doesn't seem to have found a rhythm. I think if they can get that figured out, man, I think they'll just blow everybody away. But they've been winning, but they're a little bit ugly last night, I think.
Well, I'll say this. This is not the same dominant Chiefs team that we've seen since 2018. That's for sure. Could that be, you know, they're now super reliant on Travis Kelce because they don't have a veteran piece like they had Juju last season. They had Tyreek Hill previous years. They still got Travis Kelce, but they got a bunch of young receivers now. Travis Kelce's banged up. It's unfortunate because this is probably the season where he's needed the most, and he's not playing at 100%. However, Isaiah Pacheco is having a pretty good year. He had some explosive runs, but this was a different game that we saw from the Denver Broncos. The Broncos could actually run the ball. They ran the ball pretty well. We had McLaughlin. He had 7 carries for 30 yards, 4.3 yards an attempt. And then Javonte Williams coming back from, he was banged up a little bit last week. 10 carries, 52 yards, 5.2 yards a carry. They can run the ball pretty well. This was strictly on Russell Wilson. It wasn't on coaching. Yes, there was a weird timeout at the end of the half that the Chiefs got 3 points on. But this was on Russell Wilson. It wasn't on the defense. The defense actually held the Chiefs to a worse third down efficiency percentage, and actually held the Chiefs to a significantly worse red zone percentage, which currently statistically this season they are one of the worst red zone defenses in the league. They held the Chiefs 20% in the red zone. That's pretty good. After just getting smoked by the Dolphins, Justin Fields looked great against you. You did win that game, but Justin Fields had a tremendous day. And then Zach Wilson just beat you, although it was mostly Breece Hall. He almost put up 200 rushing yards. You know what? Your defense, I would give them a pass on this game. They played pretty well. For a offense led by Patrick Mahomes to only score 19 points, and you allowed 1 of 5 in the red zone, 20%? I'd say that's pretty good. So this isn't on bad defense like it was maybe on the Zach Wilson game or the Bears game, even though you won that game, or even on the Dolphins game. This was just, can you get your offense going? And this game, they couldn't.
I think the Chiefs have weak wide receivers, right? They're not like they've had in past years. These guys aren't that good. Kadarius Tony, he drops the ball, he bats it up in the air, it's intercepted. He did catch a touchdown pass last night, but it was a short one.
Yeah,
I just don't think their they need to work on that. Their wide receivers are not explosive like they've or as reliable as they've been in past years. They go to Kelsey all the time, and he's getting banged up.
Right. Rashee Rice, he's growing. I would say he's nowhere near a wide receiver one. No chance. I don't think honestly you're not going to see. Can you see a replica of Tyreek Hill for this offense? Maybe if you have that type of talent, but no one can match the production or the explosiveness Tyreek Hill gives you. But yeah, like you said, Kadarius Toney, he was supposed to, be that reliable weapon. They brought him in as like a specialty receiver last season. He had 3 catches for 9 yards and a touchdown. That isn't exactly, the type of receiver that's going to take over a game like a Kelsey can or like a Tyreek Hill can. And then you could just rely on him. And besides, we saw in week 1, he had 3 drops, 3 really bad drops.
Yeah.
So who knows if the Chiefs fully believe in him. But he's definitely not the answer to your number 1 wide receiver problems. But like I said, this wasn't up to coaching. This wasn't up to, Sean Payton dialing up a good play or a bad play or the game plan being completely off. This is just, can Russell Wilson get the ball out to the open receiver? He had 1 horrible interception. It was a play action early in the game, and it seemed like, starting this game, it was like the Chiefs were either toying with the Broncos or both teams were trying to lose this game. Because you had, like you said, I think the Broncos did like a QB run on like a 4th and 3. It was completely, destroyed. Then you had like that fake field goal. That was white. That was they tried to do it's originally called the tush push because but now it's the Eagles thing, so it's the brotherly shove as they call it. They failed that. The Chiefs did, and then 1 or 2 possessions later, the Broncos followed up with an interception. And it was a terrible interception. It was it was like a predetermined pass.
Yeah, the second interception, it hit
in the third
Mahomes
quarter.
Threw
Yeah,
it hit the arm. The defender hit his arm, and that he was going to throw it out of bounds, but because the defender hit his arm, the ball kind of didn't go as far as he wanted it to, and it was intercepted. So I think that was not so much on Mahomes, I don't think. He was trying to throw it out of bounds.
Well, he also had another interception that got called back. So
right. I saw that one, yeah.
Yeah, and then Russell Wilson, he had one late in the third quarter, I believe. That was a tip ball that got picked off. So I'm putting this. I mean, Russ fumbled the game away against the Jets. There was an opportunity for them to try to make magic happen. He couldn't get it done. So I'm putting this on Russell Wilson, and while I'll admit, so far my trend versus a blip theory is not looking too great because Russell Wilson is having a pretty good year. He's a tale of 2 halves kind of a guy. So far this season, well, this game's an outlier, but basically this season, first half, scripted plays that Sean Payton writes up, he's been pretty good, one of the best. Second half, where he needs to, make plays happen, make magic happen, when he needs to cook, or maybe we got to let Russ cook back. He's been bad. He's been very, very bad. So I don't love it. I don't love the way the Broncos season is gone. They have won less games through 6 games now than they did last season with Nathaniel Hackett, and he got ripped out of town, in 13 games, something like that. What's it going to look like now? Are they going to move off Russ at the end of the year? His contract, I don't think, hits until next season. He's going to be making a large sum of money, and if he's playing like this, I don't know if he's going to be worth it. Is it? I mean, could we see mid-season?
He's played pretty well this year so far,
but he hasn't played like all that great. He hasn't played all that great, and his athleticism.
Do you think he has a lot of weapons on offense?
I do. Cortland Sutton's not too bad. Jerry Jeudy's not bad. Although Steve Smith hates Jerry Jeudy, he calls him an average receiver. They called him a jag, just a guy. Jerry Jeudy's not too happy about that. But hey, Steve Smith, he's a historic wide receiver. It depends on how you look at it, but. He also said teams shouldn't be trading for Jerry Jeudy as well because he's not a great receiver. Taking shots at him. I don't know if they're warranted or not. But I do think he has weapons. He has a pretty good run game. Javonte Williams pretty good, and this McLaughlin guy doesn't seem too bad. You got Cortland Sutton. You got Jerry Jeudy. I mean, the Patriots don't even have a wide receiver 1. They got maybe 2. Jerry Jeudy could be if he keeps developing. Cortland Sutton's been a wide receiver 1 for them. So I would say that Russell Wilson has above average targets.
His quarterback rating has been over 100. I'm not sure. With last night included, maybe it's dropped down a little bit. But generally, in the first, he hasn't been the reason they've been losing the games, although he did fumble the ball at the end against the Jets, which
but they need to make magic happen there, so who knows what would have happened.
I don't think they're going to win that game anyway.
But you're right. They had an opportunity to try to make
I don't
something
think
happen.
they're not making the playoffs now. They're 1-5, right? There's no way.
I think it's like a 4% chance that a 1-5 team, and no team that started 1-5 made the Super Bowl. So it's going to be interesting to see, what happens throughout the year. And his pass rate went down to 99.0, so just dipped below 100. So I think it's going to be very, very difficult. But talking about the Chiefs, I don't love how this team looks. The defense has been good. The defense has been the story. But this offense, are you telling me that the Bengals right now, the way they played last week, if they come into, or if Seattle comes into their stadium and the Bengals just take care of business, are they not on a path? Do they not have the pieces to outduel a Mahomes offense that looks like a dud right now? And people are comparing this Chiefs team to the 2018 Patriots. I don't think so. The Patriots in 2018, their defense, I think, was much better than this. We'll have to see if they could hold a team in the Super Bowl, if they do make the Super Bowl, who averaged 32 points only to 3. That's where you could say, oh, yeah, this is the 2018 Patriots. I don't see this Chiefs team doing this. So, I mean, what do you think? Do you think this Chiefs offense is sustainable for, obviously they'll probably make the playoffs.
They have to get the wide receivers going. They got to get the wide receivers going. I think that's their weakness right now. I think the rest of the rest of their offense seems pretty good. The offensive line's okay. The Mahomes is great, and the running backs, Pacheco is good, and Kelsey is great. So it's the wide receivers that are the weakness right now. They got to get something going there.
Well, okay, so let's see. Right now, can this offense outduel the Dolphins' offense?
No.
Can it outduel the Bills' offense?
Probably not.
Let's say the Bengals' offense.
Well, the Bengals started off pretty bad.
They started off terrible.
They had a great game last week. Maybe they're back.
If they beat Seattle this week.
I think Joe Burrow, he had no preseason. He was hurt the whole time. It's like the first 4 games are his preseason.
Right.
And now he really looked good last Sunday. So maybe they're back.
Well, I'm saying if they beat Seattle and they get something going, do you think?
I would say they're maybe equal to the Chiefs.
What about the Chargers? And I know Mike Williams is out for the year, but with the pieces they have, Austin Eckler's coming back. Could the Chiefs offense outduel the Chargers offense?
Yes.
You think so?
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure on that. But, if we're saying that the Chiefs can't outduel the top 3 offenses in the AFC right now, I mean, the Chiefs have to play them in the division or the championship.
Their defense is better.
Their defense is better.
The defense is better.
I think the Bills' defense is better.
And I think their offense can improve. I think their offense can improve, too.
Well, they need to get something going, I think, relatively quickly to get some momentum going, because if it's sporadic
I was surprised they only scored 19 points against the Broncos.
That's what I'm saying.
Particularly when the Dolphins scored 70.
Right, right. And then Zach Wilson and the Jets just put up 31. Justin Fields put up 28. I mean, that's what's discouraging about this. The Broncos defense, which was terrible, in the red zone, you were 1 of 5. You were 30% on third down compared to the Broncos' 40%. I mean, there's a lot of things you're like, there's some things you're like, are we sure this Chiefs team is all that? And of course, people will say that because their quarterback number 15 is Patrick Mahomes. So that's why I think we got to, maybe think about this Chiefs team needs to get something going relatively soon to build some type of momentum. Then we can be like, okay, this is the Chiefs team we know. They might not have the names, like a Tyreek Hill or like a Juju, or even, Sammy Watkins wasn't half bad when they went on that run early in Mahomes' tenure. But still, the names aren't there. They got a bunch of young guys, so they need to start building rapport. They need to start building chemistry. And then maybe, like you said, this offense could take off. But right now, I'm not trusting this offense, regardless of who their quarterback is. I don't like the looks of it, personally. All right, let's get into our next topic. I talked about this on Tuesday very briefly, but I do want to go back to it. So it's not looking too good. Now, there's a report out by Jeff Howe of The Athletic, who basically says that Robert Kraft is now open to firing Bill Belichick if the Patriots' struggles continue. Belichick 2 weeks ago suffered his worst loss of his entire coaching career, 38-3. He followed that up with the largest shutout, I believe, in Patriots home history, and it was the first home shutout since 2016, October 2nd, 2016, when the Patriots lost 16-0 to the Buffalo Bills. It's not looking good. No wide receiver development, quarterbacks regressing, running game has disappeared, offensive line is broken up. do you really think
Defense has injuries?
Defense has injuries, and just all around they're not playing up to where they used to be in prior seasons.
Okay,
Is there a chance Kraft fires Belichick and Belichick is no longer the head coach of the Patriots, whether it be mid-season, next season, whatever? Do you think Belichick entering next season is still the head coach of the New England Patriots?
Before I answer,
go for it.
Let me say that we were at the game last weekend, and I must say it was a pitiful performance by the Patriots. And it looked to me like there were no leaders on either offense or defense in terms of players, right? Generally, you see teams at the beginning of the game, there's a leader that gets either the offense or the defense around him and peps them up with a pep talk, gets people fired up. There's none of that on the Patriots. Where is it? What are these guys thinking? They're out there kind of sleepwalking, I would say. So it makes me wonder, has Belichick lost the locker room?
I think that's a very good question.
Yeah, he may have lost the locker room, and that's unfortunate because these players ought to have a lot more respect for him, given his career and what he's done, and the football genius that he is. That they would, not follow his lead and his scheme to the best of their ability. And maybe we'll see this weekend whether they do or not. And I think if they don't, then I think there is a fair chance that Belichick will be let go by Kraft at the end of the year. I don't think he'd ever do it in the middle of the year.
You don't think? Would you say that's too disrespectful to fire in the middle of the year?
That's and I think it'd be disrespectful actually to fire him at the end of the year.
Why?
Because look at the success he had there.
Right.
They're a dynasty, right? They
were.
had 6 Super Bowls.
They were. They're no longer a dynasty.
No, what team is a dynasty now?
Right now, there's no one, but the
There's
Chiefs are
nobody.
the closest thing.
Right? So the Patriots are the last dynasty.
So far, yes.
Right? The Chiefs are headed there.
Yeah.
If they win the Super Bowl again this year, you could say
they're
they're
100% a
the
dynasty.
dynasty. So they're the last dynasty. It wasn't that long ago.
It was,
and, there've been some
5,
bad
6
luck.
years.
There've been a lot of games that have been very close. The Patriots haven't won, but the last 2 weeks they were inferior to the competition. They were poor.
Right.
And if that continues, I would say it's proof that Belichick has lost the locker room. And he recruited, he picked all those players. He picked a bunch of players that aren't any good. You could say that too. And he has nobody that's really a name on offense. And look at Mac Jones for all his bluster and talk last year. He's playing worse this year than he did last year right now. And for all his criticism of the coaches and stuff, the offensive scheme is terrible. They can't run the ball at all.
right.
They're passing this inaccurate. The inaccuracies, the interceptions, it's horrible. It's horrible. And on defense, they hurt. They lost Matthew Judon. They lost Gonzalez. They traded for J.C. Jackson. He didn't play that much in last week's game. Maybe they're getting him used to the scheme. But, the defense is going to have to really step up, and the offense is going to have to eke out, a couple of touchdowns every game. They're going to have to try to win 14-10, 17-14, games like that. They're not going to be putting up any big points by looks of that offense. Their wide receivers, you're right. They have no wide receiver 1. They don't even have a wide receiver 2.
I
they're
would agree
pitiful.
with that.
Those guys are pitiful. I'm very disappointed.
Well, while it looks bad, I'm gonna show you something that I got from my brother that makes it even worse.
Oh, yeah?
In 2017, you remember the 0-16 Cleveland Browns? Through 5 games, they had 10 touchdowns and scored 77 points. Through 5 games this season for the New England Patriots, they've scored 6 touchdowns and they've had 6 touchdowns and scored only 55 points.
Terrible.
So currently, the Patriots this season have a weaker offense than an 0-16 team.
Well, they barely beat
years
the
ago.
Jets. They barely beat
the Jets.
Barely beat them. But they had chances to win 2 of the first 2 games of the year.
They did.
And it's the turnovers and mistakes that cost them.
I'm going to say I don't think so. The end of the Dolphins game, that's the offensive line. Devontae Parker was open. Mac Jones has got to do his read. The first game was Kayshon Boutte twice. At the end of the half, couldn't keep his feet in, and at the very end of the game, couldn't keep his feet in.
2 turnovers led to 14 points in the first game.
But even I would have said that gets negated, especially in the first game. You're only down by 5 on that last drive.
Yeah.
If Kayshon Boutte keeps his feet in, you're at like the 7-yard line, first and goal. So, I mean, you had an opportunity there.
You did have an opportunity
You were
to win.
down by 7 against the Dolphins, but still, that sets up potential overtime, and your defense was already shutting down, practically shutting down that Dolphins offense that we've seen now that looks incredibly explosive. Would you agree with me on this? If Belichick was the owner of the Patriots, he would fire himself as the head coach / GM. If Belichick was the owner, if there were two Belichicks, based on Belichick's own standard of how he presents his team and what he expects from his players and coaches, he would fire himself.
I would say that if himself was the same self as won 6 Super Bowls, no.
You wouldn't think so?
No, not during the year.
I would say...
at the end of the year, we'll see. I mean, if they wind up 1-16... Then,
but Belichick's gone. If the Patriots go 1-16, Belichick, I guarantee he was gone before then.
You think so? Before the end of the year?
They're 1-16.
I doubt it. Who are they going to replace him with? Bill O'Brien? He's horrible.
Not at all. They gave Gerard Mayo a massive extension, massive pay increase to get him to stay with the Patriots. And speaking about Gerard Mayo, I think this is one of the problems that Belichick has. His entire coaching staff is not filled with guys who are good coaches. They're filled with friends, family, and former draft picks. That's what they're filled with. Think about it. Matt Patricia...
Well, you wouldn't pick Gerard Mayo, right? He's a defensive guy. You think
I agree.
Coaches should be more offensive minded.
I 100% think so. But that's the thing. I guarantee you, Kellen Moore this offseason, the OC for the Chargers, is going to get calls to become a head coach. Ben Johnson, OC of the Detroit Lions, is going to get calls, and he's going to interview for head coaching jobs this upcoming offseason. Belichick won't even sniff at them. You know why? Because think about who's on his roster. He has 2 of his sons, Steve and Brian Belichick. He brought back Matt Patricia last season to play an offensive role. He's now a senior advisor for the Eagles. Now you brought back Joe Judge. By the way, Patricia and Joe Judge were both horrible head coaches, god-awful head coaches. You brought them back for whatever reason. You signed, I believe he was a coach at Oregon the last season. You brought Adrian Clem as your offensive line coach. The offensive line maybe has been its worst it's ever been since Belichick got there. I mean, it is absolutely terrible.
That's true.
Your defense has not been all that great. It's been lackluster in my eyes. You can't stop many people. Although Christian Gonzalez, unfortunately, he was tearing it up. Outside of week 1, it's your first NFL game, first official NFL game. I'll cut you a little bit of slack. You are also up against Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. I'll cut you a little bit of slack there. But outside of that, you were tearing it up. Shut down Tyreek Hill. I mean, Garrett Wilson, was he even playing against the Jets? I didn't see him. Did he catch a ball? Who knows? That's Christian Gonzalez damage right there. And unfortunately, he got hurt. It was against the Cowboys. He was shutting down CeeDee Lamb, and I showed the clip that next Harvey hour. First play, Miles Bryant, CeeDee Lamb touchdown. The first play after that injury. So that shows Christian Gonzalez' impact and how much.
He's out for the whole season.
Out for the whole season.
Terrible.
Matt Judon could be back in December potentially, but we don't know. That's not really 100% guaranteed he'll be back, but there is a chance for that. Bill Belichick's head coaching career without Tom Brady, pre and post, he's 80-92. 2 playoff appearances, 1 playoff win. That's not good. It's below 500. Yes, he coached the Browns. The Browns didn't have god-awful teams. They made the play. I think they had, 2 seasons with over 10 wins, one of which made the playoffs and I think won a playoff game. Now you talk about that defense. In 2021, Mac Jones, you could look up some of the highlights from 2021. He looked really good. He looked like a promising, the next Tom Brady franchise quarterback for the Patriots. I mean, he was throwing balls, stepping into throws. It was beautiful. I think it's because he had time to throw. You look at some of those pockets on some of those deep balls, some of those really, really good throws. He was stepping into it. He seemed to have a lot of confidence. And I think bringing in Matt Patricia and Joe Judge, I told you this last offseason. When the year 2 for quarterbacks may be the most critical year for quarterback development, and you bring in a defensive guy and a special teams guy, that has to be like, okay, what are we doing here? These guys don't know how to call plays. And then there was the I would say a bombshell report that Matt Patricia only drew up 10 passing plays for 17 weeks of 10 passing plays. And we saw it was screen, drop off, short route. There was nothing there. And we're seeing sort of the same thing. 3rd and short, deep ball.
The play calling is horrible.
Bill O'Brien.
The play calling has been abysmal.
Bill O'Brien's developing an offensive scheme for players that can't execute it because they're not that type of player. I mean, you're doing deep routes for guys who can't separate. You're doing speed routes for guys that have no speed. I mean, you're sending Devontae Parker on a streak route on a 50-50 ball. The guy's been the lowest wide receiver, the worst wide receiver in separation in the past 3 seasons. You can't be doing that. That is setting Mac Jones up for failure if you're forcing him, or not forcing him, but his eye is on that 50-50 ball to Devontae Parker, and Devontae Parker, as soon as the ball gets snapped, it's a losing battle because he can't separate. He has no juice. what I still think is crazy, and I think you'll agree with me with this, the idea to let Jacoby Myers go for Juju Smith-Schuster
It's a mistake.
makes zero sense. It makes zero sense.
I told you why he did it.
Because you think it's because the Raiders game.
Yeah, I do think so.
Then that's him being too petty because
I agree.
I would say then he's tone deaf to what's going on because last season, while the offense was abysmal, Jacoby Myers was the one shining piece. On third downs, he would be looking for Jacoby Myers, and I think a lot of the times it would be successful because of Jacoby Myers, and I think Jacoby Myers was a very good receiver for them. You let him go for basically the same price for a broken Juju Smith-Schuster? That makes no sense. That literally makes no sense.
It was a mistake.
I mean,
Just like when they let Wes Welker go. I think that was a mistake, too. And he did it for similar reasons. Because Wes Welker dropped a short pass to win a Super Bowl.
Well,
that's why they let him go.
They had Julian Edelman right there doing the exact same thing. I think it could have been you already had your replacement for much cheaper. And right now Julian Edelman was good with his contract. Wes Welker was asking for $12, $13 million a year. I don't have his exact contract in front of me. But it was a decent amount of money. How about this? Let me ask you this. Maybe Belichick doesn't need to get fired as the head coach, but will he accept being fired as the GM? Julian Edelman said on The Herd earlier this week that while he hates talking about Belichick like this, yeah, he needs help. He's screwed up on some draft picks of receivers. N'Keal Harry, what are you doing? Then you trade that second-round pick away, who becomes DK Metcalf? I still don't know what the hell the Patriots saw in that
might be
stock.
the compromise. That might be the compromise. I'd like to see that because I'd hate to see Bill Belichick get fired, actually.
Well, I'll say, do you think Belichick would do you think he would go
You know
with
what?
that?
When you're not winning, man, people turn on you real fast. And people were booing at the stadium on Sunday.
Every
a lot
drive.
of people sitting
Every
around
drive.
us. They were the four-letter words and the screaming and yelling and the booing. I mean, these are people, we've all been spoiled by the success of the Patriots over the past 20 years, right? And now we're living with some tough times. And I'm a dedicated fan. I'm not giving up on him. And I'm hoping that Bill Belichick does not get fired. I'm hoping that.
But
I'm hoping he can resurrect the team and get him going.
Right.
And I will be picking him this week.
Yeah, as you have every single week. But I'll ask you this. Do you really think Belichick would accept being fired as the GM of the New England Patriots while keeping his head coaching job?
I don't know. That's a
I don't
tough one.
think you could do that. I really don't think so. But then that could be something Kraft says like, hey, we still think you're a great coach. You're a great leader of men. But you can't pick offense for the life of you.
But is he a great leader of men if he's lost the locker room?
I would say that if he decides to accept some humility and remove himself or get fired as the GM, you bring in someone, they start building up a team. I think that's where he gets his credibility back. I think right now, the way he's picking stuff, it makes no sense. Think about this. They drafted a kicker in the 4th round. He's 50% on field goal kicks. Nick Folk, who they got rid of, is 100% on field goal kicks. I think he's made 1 or 2 50-yard kicks. The kicker that the Patriots have is garbage right now. Can't make anything. He missed a 43-yard kick.
Yeah.
You drafted a kicker in the 4th round when clearly the obvious thing to any Patriots fan for the past 2 seasons has been they need a wide receiver. They don't spend money on them. They don't spend big money on the big wide receivers, so they decide, let's draft it. Pop Douglas is interesting, doesn't get played a lot. He's hurt this week, unfortunately. You went and got Juju, Lord knows why. I have no idea. Cheaper Jacoby Myers?
So will Tayshaun Boutte be in the lineup this week?
I have no idea.
Be.
I have no idea.
He should be. If Smith is out and so is Douglas, that would probably bring up...
They may bring up Jalen Reagor. He was supposed to play a couple weeks ago. We never heard anything about him.
Yeah.
So Tayshaun Boutte is weird. I saw he got healthy, scratched a couple times. He was injured for one of those weeks. I don't know what the hell is going on with Tayshaun Boutte. I really don't. He looked promising in week 1.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening after that. But I think there's a chance. I mean, if the Patriots lose this game against Jimmy Garoppolo, half the Raiders are Patriots. You got the head coach, the quarterback, the backup quarterback. Actually, last season also a backup quarterback as well. A wide receiver, a fullback. You have a bunch of pieces that are former Patriots going up against Josh McDaniels.
Isn't Brandon Bolden?
The running back's also there as well. Yeah, backup running back. And also, Devontae Adams may be a little bit injured. You throw J.C. Jackson and say, hey, we don't care what scheme. Just follow him. Just follow him. We could be seeing that. I think it's going to be a very, very difficult task, especially with Owenu, and I think Owenu's out. Or it was Riley Reef and Cole Strange. They're both out this week. It's going to be difficult because if you throw in Antonio Mafi, I think he's given up 4 sacks and a bunch of pressures. He's been god-awful. He's been absolutely terrible. So if you put him in, Mac Jones is going to get slaughtered. And you know what's interesting? Belichick said today, Malik Cunningham may make an appearance. Malik Cunningham. And here's the thing. People saying Bailey Zappi was horrible. Bailey Zappi was god-awful. I don't know if I still have the clips here. Maybe I do. I hope I do. But Bailey Zappi was not the guy who you would want as your quarterback one. I don't think I have the clip up, but I mean, we talked about it. Two very wide open throws, and one that if he had more arm strength could have been gone for a touchdown.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's very, very bad in New England. But hey, the Patriots have fallen back down to earth to the rest of the mid-tier, to the horrible tier of teams. I mean, this is probably the worst Patriots team since maybe, 1992 when they went 2-14. They got Drew Bledsoe first overall in that draft. Could we be seeing Caleb Williams in a Patriots uniform next season?
We'll see.
Potentially. Hey, I've supported Mac Jones, but if we can get Caleb Williams, I'd be fine with that. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
All right, coming up, who is the number 1 player in the NBA according to ESPN? We dive into that. Also, we make our Week 6 picks, and I try to get back on track with the rebound week from a Harvey hot hand right after this.
Whether you're just discovering your voice or taking your show to the next level, you know what the world needs to hear. All you have to do is say it. With Spotify, set up your podcast. Your food podcast. Your mindfulness podcast. Your never thought you'd get this far podcast. And watch those sparks fly.
I put a picture of the comment.
Drop the episode anywhere people listen. And find out who they're cooking with. Where they're finding inner balance, and why they love your show. You're already a creator. Now you can create, connect, and get paid for your passion with one single free tool. Spotify for podcasters. Talk where the world listens.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name is Anthony Harvey, and as always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Good to have you in on the show today. Let's jump into our next topic here. So the NBA recently, or ESPN, came out with their top 10 players. They did actually a top 100. However, they finished out the top 10 recently, and this is their top 10 list. So it goes 10 Anthony Davis, LeBron James, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum, and then top 5 is Curry, Doncic, Embiid, Nikola Jokic, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. So I want to know, I'll start with you on this one. Do you have any problem with ESPN's list? Any problem?
Yes.
Who would you change on this list?
I would put Jokic first.
Okay. Okay. I got you.
And,
any other changes?
I might put Kevin Durant a little bit higher.
Interesting.
Yeah. But, Joel Embiid was the MVP last year, so I guess he should be in the top 3, right? Luka Doncic is an amazing player, so yeah, I think he's in the top 5. Curry, probably one of the best point guards ever to play the game. So I think that the top 5 look okay to me, but I'd put Jokic first because he's a better free throw shooter than Giannis. Giannis, he can't hit a free throw. So I think that's an important part of the game. You get fouled a lot when you're these big guys. So you got to be able to hit the free throws. So the second 5, yeah, I think Tatum. I wouldn't put Tatum in the top 5.
Okay.
He's inconsistent, right? We've seen it, right? Some games he can score 45 points, and the next game he'll score 15, miss a lot of shots, and turn the ball over a lot. So I don't know. He needs to work on his consistency.
Right.
Durant, I could say it's pretty tough to keep him out of the top 5, I think. But
who would you put him over though? Like that's the
I
big
know
question.
that's the thing. I don't see him over any of those guys. So I guess he's in there. So I'm not that familiar with Alexander. LeBron, I guess, he's getting old now.
The fact that he's still on the top 10
yeah.
list is pretty
And
impressive.
Anthony Davis, I'm a little surprised he made the top 10.
We talk about inconsistencies.
But I'm not sure who I would sub for those guys. Maybe Lillard. How come he's not in there?
I don't know if I'll put Lillard in the top 10 right now. Could he change my mind, with the Bucks? Potentially.
Yeah.
When it comes to this list, I'm going to say what I would change is I would make, like you said, Nikola Jokic number 1 because he was the MVP. He was a 2-time MVP. He probably should have won MVP last season, and he was easily, I know he's not the MVP the past season, but he was the best player last season. He scored nearly 25 points a game, 12 rebounds, and 10 assists, basically. 63% from the floor on nearly 40% shooting from 3. I mean, you got it. And ESPN's reasoning for why Giannis is first is this is the reason they give for why he's number 1. So he goes, Antetokounmpo joined Wilt Chamberlain as the only players in NBA history to average at least 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists while shooting 50% from the floor. That's fair, okay? That's fair. But I think 25, 12, and 10 shooting 63% from the floor and 38% from 3 is better than 30, 10, and 5 on 50%. But that's me, personally. Curry, actually, I would... here's what I'd do. Move Doncic up 1. So he would be in the number 3. I would move Embiid down because we saw what Embiid looked like when it mattered. He didn't come up that big. He came up pretty small. And then Curry, I would keep at number 5.
He didn't get much help, I would say, in that series against the Knicks, right? No, against the Celtics, right?
Celtics,
against the Celtics. Yeah.
James Harden had that one game where they each scored, I think, 40 points or something like that. But I think Game 7.
Yeah, but he didn't get much help.
No, he didn't.
Embiid.
I guess no. I would move. That's the thing. Does LeBron deserve to be? I think LeBron is still a top 10 player because I think he nearly scored 30 points a game this season. Anthony Davis, I think, is the big question mark of why he's number 10.
Who would you sub for him?
That's a really good question. I think if I'm gonna put someone there instead, I'm trying to see. Let's look at number 11. The number 11 player that they put. Let's see if that makes a difference here. They had Kyrie in the 30s. Jaylen Brown was in the 20s. Oh, Devin Booker. He was number 11. Jimmy Butler was number 12. That's interesting. Dame was 14 under Anthony Edwards.
Who was number 11?
Number 11 was Devin Booker, Phoenix Suns.
Oh.
I would say no. Outside of making Jokic number 1. I'd say it's a pretty good list.
Yeah, I agree.
You can nitpick minute things to say, but technically this person's above that person and whatever. But I think overall, ESPN made a pretty damn good list.
Yeah.
I think Curry's argument, they actually ripped Curry. The reason why they didn't move Curry, or they kept Curry in the place, is because he didn't carry enough. He didn't carry his team enough when it mattered. Klay Thompson is no longer the Klay Thompson that we saw.
Right. They
had no one outside of... We saw the net rating when Curry was on the court and when he was off the court. It's drastic to change.
Neither is Draymond Green. He's not the player he once was either.
Correct. I would say he's an offensive liability more than... I mean, yes, he's a catalyst where he's gets the ball around.
He's a distributor now.
Yeah, he's not a guy who's going to put up 15 points a game and 10 rebounds. No, he's going to put up a triple single, which is what his nickname is. So outside of, maybe moving Jokic to number 1 because while he didn't win MVP, we got to establish that. He did not win the MVP.
He won the championship. He was dominant.
Yeah. He was literally dominant. Unstoppable.
And he made all the shots. He made all the right decisions with the ball. He handled the ball on every possession. That guy is amazing. I'd love to have him on the Celtics.
Another thing you bring up is free throws. Jokic shot 82% from the free throw line, while Giannis shot 64%.
Yeah, why do they have him as number 1? Why did they make the argument for him as number 1?
Because they opened up the sentence with he joined Wilt Chamberlain as the only players to score 30, 10, and 5 while averaging 50% from the floor. Yet Jokic scored 24.5, 11.8, and 9.8 on 63% shooting and 40% from 3. Giannis scores 27.5% from 3. Giannis, I'm telling you right now, Giannis is more one-dimensional in offense than people, I think, realize.
He's drive to the basket, get to the line, and miss the free throw.
That's all it is. It's drive, and his athleticism is incredible. His strength is insane. His defense is very, very good. But offensively, it's drive, throw some elbows, get fouled, and either make the layup, or it's you shoot your 2 free throws, and you end up missing them, 1 out of 3 times. I mean, he's not a athleticism, top tier, top notch. But offensively, he's not all that great. He's not great. He's a one-dimensional scorer, I would say. He's not all around like Jokic is. Jokic could shoot the three. He could drive. He can make his free throws. I mean, he could pass. He could rebound. I mean, he could do everything. Giannis, drive to the line, shoot free throws, maybe miss a couple. Who knows? But I would say that ESPN's list is more right than it is wrong. I don't think there's a lot of disagreements. Besides, I think a lot of people would move Jokic to the number one spot. I think it's time we get into our picks for the week. We had a pretty good week this week. We had a couple wins, a lot of wins actually. There were some shockers, I would say. But to start the week, we started on a pretty good streak. Pretty good. We barely covered that point spread. It was 10.5. It hit on the dot, on the nose right there. So let's start with my picks for the week. Let's get it going. With week 6 starting off. So last night, the Chiefs ended up beating the Denver Broncos and barely covering that spread. Thank God. I believe I am now 6-0, scoring it perfectly. I could be... No. My first loss was the Commanders-Bears game. That screwed me over. That's the first time I believe I lost in Thursday Night Football. But let's see if I can get that back on track. So the next one, I believe this is a London game. So 9:30 on NFL Network. Ravens at Titans. I'll take the Ravens here to cover and win this game. What I'm seeing right now is Lamar Jackson's having a pretty good year. I believe I ranked him as the 6th best quarterback in the NFL currently, and I think he could continue on that streak, maybe even get into the top 5 if he keeps playing very well. But without great talent, because most of it's hurt, an offensive line that's banged up, and then playing alongside a defense that looked really good last week, I think they could dominate here, maybe shut down the run game and make the Titans offense one-dimensional. And if you're going through Ryan Tannehill, I don't know how good that'll be. So I'm going to say that the Ravens pull out with the win and cover the -4 point spread. The next one, Commanders at Falcons. Can the Commanders bounce back after Thursday night? I'm going to go with no for at least at the moment. What I saw is that the Falcons defense did a great job shutting down C.J. Stroud, and C.J. Stroud's having a great year thus far. Now, what will they do against a Commanders team that kind of got embarrassed by DJ Moore and Justin Fields last week? Well, I think they're going to do a pretty good job. Sam Howell looked a little bit nervous, didn't know where to go with the ball. I would say Bijan Robinson gets it going. Will Kyle Pitts hit 100 yards? Who knows? Do I think Drake London will have an okay game? I do, but I know Desmond Ridder could get something going. I'm trusting Bijan Robinson in that run game, though, to power through this Commanders defense. And we saw, Khalil Herbert was doing numbers against this Commanders defense. I think we could replicate that because I think Bijan Robinson at the current moment is better than Khalil Herbert. I'll take the Falcons to win and cover the -2.5 point spread. The next game, Seahawks at Bengals. This is where we're going to need to see if the Bengals are legit this season or not. If the Seahawks come in and dismantle the Bengals, their season's pretty much screwed. However, if the Bengals can, dominate in this game or at least just come out with a win against a Seahawks defense that looked great last week and you get something going here, I would say the Bengals could be on track to be right back in the playoff contention, right back in maybe the Super Bowl conversation, but they need to get something going. Joe Burrow, he's still getting healthier. We don't know how 100% he's going to be or how close to it. We'll have to wait and see, but I do think the Bengals will win this game and cover the -3.5 point spread. The next one, I have an upset alert. Vikings at Bears. I'll take the Bears to win outright. What we saw the last 2 weeks from Justin Fields is proving all of the doubters, including myself, wrong. Now, will this continue? I think so. The Vikings just put Justin Jefferson on IR. He'll be out for at least 4 weeks. It's not looking pretty. I think the running game, while Khalil Herbert is out, I think Justin Fields uses his legs to his massive advantage and takes over this game. I'll take the Bears to win outright and obviously cover the +3 point spread. The next game, -10 point spread for the 49ers at the Browns. Deshaun Watson, he was medically cleared to play 2 weeks ago. He sat out. He was good to go last week. He wasn't there. Now this week, what's happening? He's not going to play in this game. So what does that mean? I think this defense, regardless if Deshaun Watson was going to be out there, I think they're just going to dominate. DTR, while he looked great in the preseason, that first game against the Ravens, yikes, that was pretty bad. So I do think the 49ers defense, there are no holes for this 49ers team. At special teams, defense, offense, you name it, there are 0 holes. I think really this 49ers team should be Super Bowl favorites. I think if they don't make the Super Bowl, that would shock a lot of people. I'll take the 49ers to win and cover a minus 10 point spread. We're picking big numbers here. I don't have a single plus double-digit point spread cover. I have all favorites this week, basically, for those double-digit point spreads. But hey, these teams are very, very bad, which is why they're double-digit underdogs. Next one, Saints at Texans. Saints are favored by minus 1.5. I'll say C.J. Stroud and the Texans rebound. Now, Tank Dell is injured and out for this game, but I do think Nico Collins has a good game. I think the running game gets going here. The Saints, they did look good against a broken Patriots team. Outside of that, Derek Carr, when's the last time he threw for 200 yards? I got no idea. It's been a very, very long time. I do think C.J. Stroud bounces back here. I do think the Texans will win outright. And like I said, they'll get back on track, and we'll see C.J. Stroud back to what he used to be throughout the season, which is a very, very good quarterback. A little bit of a rough patch against the Falcons. I think they'll bounce back. The next one, Colts at Jaguars. The Jaguars just broke a streak earlier this year against, I believe it was week 1, against these Colts. I think they do it again. What we saw in London was, are the Jaguars just a London team, or can they bring that momentum into this week? I think they can. Now, Anthony Richardson, his status, I believe, is still up in the air. Will we see Gardner Minshew? I mean, regardless of what happens, I think what we saw against the Bills last week, the defense, took opportunities that the Bills gave them. This Jags team looked very, very good. The offense got going. I think they repeat this. Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence get the win, cover the minus 4 point spread. The next game, Panthers at Dolphins. Dolphins are 13.5 point favorites. I'll take it. This Dolphins team, their defense is a little bit of their defense is a little bit questionable. Offensive line, while they've been doing a pretty good job, they're still, I think, a little bit of a question mark on the offense. But you got Tyreek Hill, you got Jalen Waddle, a chain, he's going to be out for a little while. But I do think Tua, with these offensive passing weapons, I think that'll be more than enough against a Panthers team that has no wide receiver one. Defense has been underwhelming. Offense has been basically nothing. Miles Sanders is out for the Panthers this week. I'll take the Dolphins to win and cover a minus 13.5 point spread. They got to win by 2 touchdowns to cover that, and I believe they could do it. Next one. This team is on full reset mode. Patriots at Raiders. So I'm going to trust Bill Belichick. Now, I just ripped on Belichick for the past, 16 minutes. But hey, I'm going with, if he fails, it's going to be on him. So I'm pushing all my cards, all the chips to the middle of the table and say, Belichick, you said this team needs a full reset. I want to see it. Now, Belichick against his assistants and former coaches, not good. He actually has a losing record against his former coaches and assistants, but I do think he gets closer to 500 with this game. I think they have to do something, whether it's to pressure Jimmy G and make him make mistakes. I don't know what exactly they're going to do, but Bill Belichick said a full reset. I'm going to trust him in this week. And if he falls through, Mac Jones gets benched, I think he'll be done for the rest of the season. We may see Bailey Zappi. We may see Malik Cunningham for the rest of the year. Who knows? But this game is your revival game to get something going, or it's, oh no, this team is actually god-awful. So I'll take the Patriots to win outright, plus 3 point spread. Patriots got it. The next one, Lions at Buccaneers. This one's going to be interesting. With the tight end Laporta maybe out. I believe he's either out or he's doubtful to play. I don't think it'll matter. I think Jared Goff with I think David Montgomery, I think Gibbs, the running back, he's going to be out for this game. I do think they get something going here. Jared Goff has looked really, really good this season. I think they have enough weapons to get the job done against the Buccaneers team. The defense for this team, though, they went from like 32nd last season to now being one of the best defenses in the NFL. I think they'll force Baker Mayfield to make some mistakes coming out of a bye week. I don't know how Baker will play, but I do think this Lions team will win and cover the minus 3.5 point spread. The next one, Cardinals at Rams. Rams favored by minus 7 points. I'll take him here. Cooper Kupp's back. He looked pretty good. Puka Nacua, he's in there. He's been looking great throughout this season. I do think this team will take care of the Cardinals. I think Sean McVay dials up a great offensive scheme against a Cardinals team that is right now probably overperforming and definitely, playing higher than we thought that they would with Kyler Murray out. And Kyler Murray, what it seems like is he's not that close. He's still weeks away from coming back as expected when you tear your ACL in December. So who knows when he'll get back. But right now it's Josh Dobbs. He's been playing great so far, much higher than anyone thought he'd be playing right now. But I do think this Rams team takes over and offensively dominates. I'll take the Rams to win and cover the minus 7 point spread. Next one, Eagles at Jets. This is interesting. With Jalen Carter dealing with an injury, this point spread moved from 7.5 to 6.5 for the Jets. This is going to be interesting. I'll take the Eagles to still win and cover, but the fact that point spread moved because one player got out, could it be a Zach Wilson effect? Could it be that Zach Wilson tears through this defense against the Eagles that hasn't looked all that great, that is sort of flip-flop where they were last season, top of the charts last season in defense? Now they're sort of near the bottom and sort of in the mid-tiers of defense this season. The offense, it doesn't know its identity still. Is it run first? Is it pass first? Are they a combination? Are they a hybrid offense where you run, pass, run? Who knows? But this team, it still needs to find its identity, but I do think just the fact that they have way more firepower than the Jets do, and I trust Jalen Hurts way more than I trust Zach Wilson, I'll take the Eagles to cover the minus 6.5 point spread on the road. Next one, this may be the biggest point spread I've ever seen. Maybe last year we saw an even bigger point spread, but Sunday Night Football, Giants without Daniel Jones at the Bills, I mean, minus 15.5 point spread. I'll take it. Give me the minus 15.5 point spread. Tyrod Taylor, do we trust him more than Daniel Jones? I have no idea if we do. They did look interesting at the end of the year against the Eagles where they nearly beat them at the I believe it might have been week 18 when they put in, was it Davis Webb, whatever his name is. But I think that's because the Eagles they didn't care. They sealed the number 1 seed. It is what it is. But I do think the Bills, with that defense, they dominate a very, very poor, actually ranked dead last offensive line that the Giants have. Saquon, I think in this game, is rendered ineffective. I think Tyrod Taylor throws 2 or 3 interceptions, maybe gets sacked 10 times like Daniel Jones did a couple games ago. I think the Bills absolutely dominate and win by more than 2 touchdowns. I have them winning at home, winning by more than 15 points. And finally, Monday Night Football, Cowboys at Chargers. Chargers, 2.5 point home underdogs. I'll take the Chargers to win here, strictly for this reason. The Cowboys just game plan to put a bunch of heart and effort into playing the 49ers. There's also 13 guys who right now are in the injury report for this week. I'll take the Chargers to win. I understand Mike Williams out for the year and Quentin Johnson needs to step up. However, they still have Keenan Allen. They're getting Austin Eckler back. They got Palmer. I mean, they have a couple pieces there. You have a great offensive line. I think just with the fact that a bunch of Cowboys players are not going to be 100% or maybe even near 100% or very well could be out for this week. And I think the Chargers defense could get something rolling. Could Khalil Mack have a great day? Who knows? But I do think I trust Justin Herbert right now more than I trust Dak Prescott. I'll take the Chargers to win and cover at home as home underdogs the plus 2.5 point spread. And those are my week 6 picks. Your turn now.
Okay, well, I'm 44 and 34, 42 and 32 and 4. Are we tied on the point spread? Do you have the same as me?
Yeah,
that's interesting. I'm doing better on the point spread this year than I did last year. My win-loss record, I'm a little disappointed in. I started out better than I've been the last couple of weeks. There have been some tough games to pick, and I think there's some tough ones in here this week as well. Was happy to get the Chiefs win. The point spread was really a lot closer than I thought it was going to be in terms of the actual score, but they eked it out, so I was happy about that. So that's a good start. This next game, I think, is going to be very close, and this is a team, the Titans, that's going to be hard to pick all year, I think. They played better than we thought in several games, and I picked against them, and it's been a mistake in a couple of games. I'm picking against them this week again, and I'm afraid it might be a mistake, but I'm counting on Lamar Jackson and company to find a way to beat the Titans, and I think they will. The Commanders against the Falcons. The Commanders played terrible against the Bears, and I still don't think the Bears, I think their wins, one win, right, so far. And that win was the first one in, 12 games or so?
14.
14 games. So they're hardly, you can hardly say that they've turned the corner, and they're a winning franchise now. And they beat the Commanders badly. So I think the Falcons with their running game with Bijan Robinson is going to pull it out against the Commanders. The Bengals seem to be back on track now, and this is they started last year slow and repeated that this year, even slower this year. But they looked great last week. I think they'll be too much for Seattle at home. The Bears against the Vikings. I think the Vikings are going to win this game. I think they've They started out very poorly. Their games were close, so they had too many turnovers. They seem to have rebounded a bit here. Justin Jefferson playing in this game?
He's on IR.
He's on IR, so that's a problem. But I still think that the Vikings are going to find a way to beat the Bears. So that's one that we disagree on. San Francisco, they're the best team in the NFL. They're going to beat the Cleveland Browns. Browns don't have Watson, who seems to be a little injury prone these days, huh? He's missed a couple of games now.
The funny thing is, he's medically cleared to play. That's what
this week he is.
He's been medically cleared to play for a couple weeks now.
Then why isn't he playing?
Who knows? He's refused, or I guess by himself, he's refused not to play. He's been medically cleared. He could play. Huh. He just hasn't.
Well, hey, and he's got $230 million guaranteed, huh? Yeah. I guess he doesn't want to go out there and take a hit. I like the Saints against the Texans, just the way they beat up on the Patriots at the game we were at. They look really good. So I think they've got a good team there. You're right, Derek Carr hasn't really performed that well yet. But I think they got more than the Texans can handle. I like the Jaguars over the Colts. The Colts are without Robinson. Michel will be in there. The Colts have played better than we thought, and now they have their running back, Taylor. So I think this will be a close game, but I think the Jaguars will pull it out because they're playing at home. The Dolphins, I think, will destroy the Panthers. They've got the best offense in the NFL. They lost to the Bills, but the Bills have a great defense. So I think the Dolphins will destroy the Panthers and cover that point spread. I also am picking the Patriots, mostly because I'm a Patriots fan and always will be. I do think that they were embarrassed last week. If they have any character at all, they'll find a way to rebound. If they don't, I'm afraid the season might be lost. The Lions over the Tampa Bay, this is another close one. I think it's hard to know whether Tampa Bay can pull out some of these games. And Detroit, the point spread's pretty close, so I do think the Lions will pull it out. They look like they've been playing pretty consistently well and scoring a lot of points in the last few weeks. Tampa Bay is a better team than we expected. I think the game will be close, particularly given that it's being played at Tampa Bay. I also think the Rams and the Cardinals is going to be very close as well, and I don't think the Rams will cover the point spread. I do think they'll win. I think the Cardinals I think Jonathan Gannon's proving to be a very good coach. Their defense seems to be quite good. They beat Dallas. And their offense, they're maybe on demand there with Dobbs at quarterback. He's played okay, but is he the real deal? I'm not so sure. The Eagles, I think, will beat the Jets and cover. I do think it will be a close game. Maybe the Jets could pull it out. They could pull up the upset, but the Eagles are undefeated, and I think they'll continue to be that way this week. Bills are going to destroy the Giants. They don't have Daniel Jones. Tyrod Taylor, I predict he'll probably get hurt too. He guy throws his body. He'll go out there and run on a play, put his head down and get creamed and knocked out of bounds, and he'll be knocked out of the game. I predict it. I think Dallas is going to beat the Chargers. I think they'll rebound. I think they're a better team than 3-2 shows. They played San Francisco, and San Francisco's the best in the league, and Dak Prescott looked like the old Dak Prescott there, but I think they're going to rebound. So those are my picks.
That was pretty good. Pretty good. We disagreed on the Bears. We disagreed on the Saints. We disagreed on the Cowboys.
Yeah.
We have three disagreements this week. That Ravens-Titans game, I think that's going to be interesting, like you said.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think, home underdogs?
I think the Tampa Bay Lions game is going to be closer than people think, too. I think Tampa Bay
I think that's going to be a really good game. I think that's going to be a great game.
Yeah.
Well, as I've been doing for a number of weeks now, the Harvey Hot End. It was not good. I'll bring up the record right now. Last week, I believe it went 2-3. Let's just confirm that. Yep, 2-3 last week. It was unfortunate. However, it's time for me to bounce back with a great week of the Harvey Hot Hand. So let's begin with the first one being
Seahawks at Bengals.
Seahawks at Bengals. Now, this game is very, very important because it is strictly up to whether or not this Bengals offense, this Bengals team, can get on track. If Seattle comes into Cincinnati and the Bengals dismantle them and Jamar Chase is getting a bunch of yards and Tyler Boyd looks great and the running game is efficient and Joe Burrow's stepping into throws and making plays happen, yeah, this is a Bengals team that can go back to an AFC Championship game or even potentially go back to the Super Bowl. I think this is a big game for the Bengals. I do think they win relatively close, but do cover the minus 3-point spread. I have them covering 28-24.
Vikings at Bears.
Next one, Vikings at Bears. This one, I'm trusting Justin Fields. I've ripped Justin Fields even since this past offseason when he got the most MVP votes, more than Mahomes, Allen, and Herbert combined at plus 2,000. What are people thinking? Are they trying to cash in on a plus 2,000 bet odd? Potentially. However, I do think right now, Justin Fields, the past 2 games, he's looked absolutely phenomenal. I think he carries that into this week. The Bears defense did a great job against Sam Howell and that, interesting, I'm not going to say good or even great, interesting Commanders offense and dismantled that, combined with DJ Moore having maybe the best game of his career. With Justin Jefferson on IR, I think this game will be for the taking for the Bears. I think they get the home upset, the plus 3 points spread, win outright, win 24-20.
49ers at Browns.
Now, I normally say don't pick double-digit point spreads, but these next 2 options are really given right now. Deshaun Watson is a healthy scratch. He's cleared to play, but he won't play, especially with Nick Chubb out as well, who got injured against the Steelers earlier this year. This game is going to be a bloodbath when, the 49ers are going to be the Sharks here. We saw what the Ravens defense did against DTR and this Browns offense. I think the 49ers will do even more damage. I think with Brock Purdy being like the number 1 quarterback in a bunch of stats, this defense being the most dominant defense in the NFL right now, I think they win easily, cover the minus 10 points spread on the road. I have them winning 35-14.
Giants at Bills.
Now, once again, this one may be the biggest point spread I've ever seen since we've started doing the show. Bills favored by 15 points, and I'm going to take them. Tyrod Taylor, I'm going to say no way. I think Saquon Barkley's efficiency, I'll say it's non-existent. This offensive line by PFF is the lowest graded offensive line. They have sort of picked a bunch of pieces. Evan Neal ripping on fans, then having to apologize. He's been god-awful. Andrew Thomas may be coming back this week. He hasn't been all that great this season. Mike Lewinsky at one point this season had a 1 PFF grade. How the hell do you get a 1 PFF grade? I have no idea. That's how bad this Giants offensive line is. I think with Tyrod Taylor coming in, I think he's going to make a bunch of mistakes. He'll try to use his athleticism. Maybe there's a shot he gets hurt. I have no idea. He might, but we're going to say hopefully he doesn't. But this Giants offense has been god-awful, and I think it continues. They got their first half touchdown, and it was a defensive touchdown last week. The offense still can't score in the first half. So I'll take the Bills to win and cover a minus 15 points, but I've been winning 31-13. And finally,
Cowboys at Chargers.
the Cowboys at the Chargers. There are 13 people on the injury report for the Dallas Cowboys after that very, very rough game against the San Francisco 49ers. They put a lot of effort into trying to stop Brock Purdy and that team, and for one quarter, they had a chance. And then on cue, Dak Prescott threw the game away. Now they're dealing with injuries against a Chargers team that, while they did lose Mike Williams for the entire season, Quentin Johnson needs to step up. I think he does a fine job with Keenan Allen, with the tight ends, with the great offensive line. Austin Eckler's back. I think this Chargers team is going to be ready to go. I'll take the Chargers to win at either their home underdogs, win outright. They win 27-24. And that wraps up Week 6's Harvey Hot Hand. There we go. That's how you do a show. That's how you wrap up a Harvey Hot, and hopefully I get back on track. 2-3. Hey, last season I had 2 1-4 weeks. I don't ever want to go 1-4 again. That's losing a lot of money.
Well, I think some of them are pretty close there, Nate. There could have been some others that you could have picked that might have been easier.
Really? You think so?
Yeah. I mean, did you pick San Francisco? You picked
I did.
San Francisco.
I picked San Francisco, yes.
Let's see. What's the other one that I saw on here that might be a closer one, or easier to pick?
Let's see.
Maybe not. Maybe you're how about the Dolphins over the Panthers, huh? 13.5 points spread there. You didn't think that one would be easier to pick than the Bears over the Vikings? Huh? The Bears over the Vikings?
I'm trusting.
That's a close one.
I got ripped on Justin Fields, this season, and so far I was deemed correct. And then he had 2 phenomenal games. So what can I say? He ripped me on the Broncos. I had the Broncos -3, and they pushed. They didn't even win.
You don't think the Dolphins are going to cover 13.5?
No, I had them winning the 13.5, but I'm not betting it.
Okay,
I'm not betting it because the Vikings almost lost to them.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with the Dolphins. I do want to talk about this though. The baseball playoffs. There is more parity in those baseball playoffs than I probably have ever seen. I think the 5 highest records in the MLB all gone, all out of the playoffs, which is shocking. Now I talked about this when we made our. By the way, my World Series pick is already out the door. That once again, round 1 and my World Series pick is gone. Baltimore's gone.
I knew they'd be gone.
But here's the thing. Do you remember me telling you? I said I want the Diamondbacks to win, but I don't think they will. The Diamondbacks ended up beating the Dodgers. What are the odds of that? We thought the Phillies-Braves series was going to be interesting. The Phillies took care of them. I think the Braves won 1 game. I mean, the parity in the MLB for this playoffs is absolutely insane. So what we got they start Sunday is the championship series games.
Yeah.
We got the Rangers at Houston. Then we got Arizona at Philadelphia. Hey,
I picked Philadelphia and Houston to go to the World Series.
the Rangers took care of business against the best team in the AL, though.
Yeah, but Houston's got the experience.
They do. And I think if we're talking about from a ratings perspective, Houston-Philly will be the best series that could come out of that.
Yeah.
For me, for story...
Who would win that, do you think? Houston versus
I'm going
Phillies?
Philly. I'm going Philly.
I'd love to see Philadelphia beat them. I don't like Houston.
Well, cheating allegations. Not good.
That's right.
Not good. You know what? I didn't stick with my gut the first time around. Now, we're throwing our playoff predictions out the window because we're both already wrong. Because you had the Braves winning, I had the Orioles winning.
Right.
So we're resetting here. I'm gonna stick with my heart, not my head for this one, which I normally go with my head. I'll take the Texas. I'll go with probably what a lot of people are saying is going to be the worst World Series. I'll go Rangers Diamondbacks. Because I didn't go with my heart when I picked the Dodgers over the Diamondbacks. I love the Diamondbacks. I like the logo. I like the colors. I like the team. I'll go with the Diamondbacks to upset the Phillies. Do I actually think it'll happen? Hell no.
I don't think so.
The Phillies just beat up on the Braves.
Yeah,
the Braves were an extremely dominant team.
I said Houston would make it to the World Series, so I
believe you did.
Still
Yeah.
in there on that one. On the other side, I thought the Braves.
As am I.
I can't
As
believe
am
the
I.
Braves got beat.
Hey, for the second year in a row, the Phillies took care of the Braves.
Yeah.
Hey,
Wow.
could the Phillies
surprise.
finally get their World Series redemption that they were looking for?
They got a team that could do it, man.
Actually, your World Series pick is a rematch of last season. Astros-Phillies, I believe.
No, last year it was the
Wasn't it? Here, I'll look it up.
Astros. Was it Astros Phillies?
I believe.
I thought it was Astros Braves
No, the Braves lost to the Phillies
last year too.
last year, yeah.
Okay, I guess I'm wrong.
Yeah,
So it could be a repeat.
Philadelphia Phillies that lost the World Series in 6 to the Astros.
Okay.
So this would be a rematch of last season.
Yeah.
And you would say the Phillies get their
revenge.
I don't know. Justin Verlander's back for the Astros.
That's
Verlander versus Harper. That's going to be a hell of a matchup if they do get there. But I'm going with my heart. I'll go Diamondbacks and I'll go Rangers. Rangers just beat the best team in the AL.
Be something if the Rangers get there and win it, huh? Because they weren't very good last year.
Yeah. And besides, they got DeGrom. He ended up getting hurt and needed Tommy John surgery. That would be a hell of a story if the Rangers. I mean, they took care of the Orioles. Like it was embarrassing to see that. But yeah, MLB. Who knows what's going to happen in the MLB postseason? But we'll have to wait and see. This weekend, was it Sunday? I said Sunday. It starts up with the Rangers at the Astros. It's going to be a hell of a game. But for this episode of the Harvey Hour, we will wrap it up. My name's Nathan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. We are the Harvey Hour. Catch us Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, to recap a bunch of these games and potentially some MLB or NBA news. So catch us then 6:30 p.m. Eastern right here on YouTube.
Bye, Grandpa.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.